There are many paths to an NHL career. Some players are on the fast track. They get opportunities at every single level to show their stuff. They are quickly brought up through the ranks and make it to the NHL at a fast pace. Others, well, they have to fight and claw for every inch. They have to prove themselves before they earn any opportunity and force people to watch them and show what they can do. Ty Lewis, he falls into that latter category.
Como has a breakaway.
Lewis has rarely gotten the easy path throughout his career. In major juniors, he didn't even break into the WHL until his 17-year-old year. Because of that late start in the league, he would go undrafted in his first year of draft eligibility. In his second year, he would have a strong season, putting up nearly a point per game down in the WHL, and was even ranked to go somewhere around the 5th round in that year's NHL draft. But for some reason, he would go undrafted again. In fact, the only reason he has an NHL contract today is because the Avs were the only team to invite him to a training camp. And at that training camp, he took full advantage, showing off everything he could do, and the Avs just couldn't say no. He certainly proved them right, putting up a 100-point season in his final year in the WHL, and that brings us to now, where he would start this season in the AHL. I struggle to understand why things have been so hard for Ty Lewis to earn opportunities throughout his career, because he's the type of player that coaches love. You ask him to do something and he will do it. Not only will he do it, he will do it well. You want to move him up in the lineup and have him play offense with other quality players, he can. You want him to take care of his own end and be a responsible player, he'll do that as well. He'll even get physical if that's required of him. After a couple of games to adjust to pro hockey at the AHL level, the scoring started to come for Lewis, and he proved that he could play alongside some of the Avs' other top prospects and fit right in. With a well-rounded up-tempo game, it was easy to throw him out there for the Eagles in all situations for a large portion of this season. He was a threat to both score with his shots and create plays with his pass alongside players like Martin Kaut, AJ Greer, and Andrew Agozzino. Ty Lewis's hang-up this year was he was a bit streaky offensively. He would go on streaks where he would rattle off a ton of points and look like a player ready to make the jump to the NHL, and then he would have long streaks where he wouldn't record a single point at all. With that said, even when he wasn't producing, he was still doing good things on the ice, whether it was digging pucks out to keep possession or playing solid defense. I can count the number of games that Lewis didn't record a shot on goal on one hand. When his production was up, he was certainly getting opportunities and regularly making the most of them. When his production was down, he was still doing a lot of little things right, and that bought him a lot of time for a while. Through the first 3 months of the season, Lewis was a core and key piece for this Eagles team, having a nice impact next to players like Martin Kaut. He was proving that he was a player of that caliber, and the players I mentioned him playing alongside are all, at worst, tweener NHLers. So that's a good sign. But then we hit January, and this is where Lewis just went completely cold. Now, it's unclear whether it was just the rigors of an AHL season playing against men, whether he was banged up, or whether it was something else entirely. We're not exactly sure what caused this, but it did happen. From Christmas to the end of January, Lewis would put up points in just 1 of 11 games. Really not a great look statistically. His game did seem to slow down a bit as well. Whether that's a confidence thing or something else, again, we do not know, but he wasn't quite playing at the same pace he was before. He was still doing a lot of good things and all the little things right, though. I still think he was having a fine impact on the team, just not as much as they had hoped for the entire length of the season. In February, he would have a couple of mini streaks where it looked like he was getting his mojo back offensively a little bit, but then would go cold again around the start of March, and that is when the Eagles opted to send him to the ECHL. Even with his cold streak, I disagree with this decision wholeheartedly. There was no reason to send Ty Lewis to the ECHL. You can make the argument that they wanted to get him more playing time, but I think that's silly. If you want to get him that playing time, give it to him at the AHL level where he can use it and learn from it. You want to get NHLers out of players like this, you have to give them opportunities, not bury them even deeper. Lewis almost immediately proved my thoughts correct as he went down to the ECHL and just completely destroyed that league. By his third game down there, everyone knew he didn't belong there. He just was too good for that league, averaging nearly 2 points per game in the short time he spent down there. So not great that Lewis was sent down there in the first place, but you would think that he did exactly what the team wanted him to and proved that he should be up in the AHL. And yet, the Eagles just never called him back up. Instead, they essentially decided to play a bunch of bums in his stead. Players that not only weren't prospects, but weren't even scoring at the same pace Lewis was in the AHL. By every metric, even Lewis on a bad night was better than what the Eagles were icing regularly, and that just makes no sense on so many levels. Even when it came down to the playoffs and the Eagles were struggling to score, something that Lewis had proven he could help the team do based on his ECHL play, they opted to play someone else, someone who recorded 0 points for the Colorado Eagles this season. Lewis absolutely deserved more opportunity this year. He proved that he was fully capable of playing in the AHL, and oftentimes looked good doing it. But he just seemed to get mismanaged, particularly at the end of the year. On the season, Lewis had 8 goals and 11 assists for 19 points in 51 AHL games. He also added 5 goals and 8 assists for 13 points in 7 ECHL games, as well as 3 points in 5 ECHL playoff games. Based on his year as a whole, I'm going to give Lewis a C+ grade. If the Eagles had managed and used him properly, gave him more opportunity, this grade could have easily been upgraded to a B level type. As an undrafted player, Lewis proved he deserves to be in pro hockey and is a fully capable AHLer, and has shown upside that could turn him into an NHLer. Would he have made it? Would he not if he gets the opportunity? Maybe, maybe not. But we certainly won't know if they don't give him that opportunity. I really hope that opportunity comes in this coming season, because we could miss out on a quality player if it doesn't. It's time to stop being afraid of playing the kids even if they're not on the fast track. That is the end of this Players Season video review. Thank you for watching, and as always, a special thank you to all of my contributors on both PayPal and Patreon. I appreciate all the names you see up here on screen a ton, and if you want to help out my channel, consider throwing a couple bucks my way at the links in the description. I'm Rudo3, and if you haven't checked them out already, here come the Ty Lewis highlights.
Avalanche time, come on, grab your friends. We're going to the playoffs again with Nate the dog and Gabe the big. The fun isn't over yet, it is Avalanche time.